Buongiorno, everyone. Welcome to the Now Over Never podcast. I am your host, Michael Blackwell. We're having a few issues with Facebook Live, but hopefully you have found the new stream. Being from Dayton, Ohio, this is a special issue. Some things have happened, some recent events have happened recently in Dayton, and also to our friends over in El Paso, Texas. And then again, last night, something had happened in Texas, which even more compounds the purpose behind today's podcast. So our guest today is going to be anonymous for a lot of reasons, but I wanted to speak a little bit, first of all, giving much love and positive vibes again to Texas and to anyone involved in, or affected by all of these mass shootings. Being from Dayton, obviously we just recently went through it. There's been a lot of talks going on recently amongst my friends and people that I know dearly. And a lot of conversations from people that knew the gunman, people that were there, just every single angle you could imagine of a mass shooting has started to be covered in these discussions. And one thing that happened is I had a discussion with somebody that I know well, and I said to them, you know what, given your history of what I know about you, your history fits what I would consider a history of a mass shooter or someone that would cause these situations. But you have a morality, a much different line, but your history on paper would lead me to believe that you would be one of those type of people. And that sparked one of the most intense conversations that immediately we knew this podcast had to happen. So I bring you today an anonymous guest. I hope we can gain a different perspective here and just kind of gather his story and what he thought when I said that to him, to be approached with someone giving you this kind of information. So my guest today is anonymous. Do you have something that I can refer you to other than anonymous?
I think we jokingly one time said Viper, so we'll go with that.
All right, guys. So today on the show, and I'm sorry about the poor outdoor quality. We wanted to make sure we had a tranquil setting. We wanted to be outside. We kind of wanted to make this a stress-free thing. So bear with the sound, the quality here, and you're going to have to stare at me for the whole thing. I'm sorry, but ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give you the reaction to Viper when I said to him, I believe you have the history of someone on paper that fits a mass shooter. What did you think when I said that?
Well, first of all, it wasn't even the first time I've heard that. So at this point, I had to look at it. So I spent the rest of that night thinking, well, why aren't I? What makes me so different? I don't know. So I guess it became down to, it was always a progressive decision from the earliest point that I can remember. This is not where I belong. This is not who I'm going to be. My earliest memory on this planet is of my father bashing my mom's head against the door frame, shoving her out, saying, if you don't like it, then you can leave, which who would enjoy that? And I can remember just looking up at my siblings, and they're obviously in tears. And it's just this weird sense of reality that I've always had since then. And my mom, you could see just the fear in her eyes, looking around for whatever rope she could grab onto to get out of this obvious situation. She said, honey, the kids. And he flat out said, I don't give a damn about the kids. Fast forward through the years, I'd say around halfway through second grade, we moved from, I guess I should talk about where we were, actually. We were not financially blessed, I guess would be the politically correct way of saying it.
You say were or weren't?
We're not.
We're not.
We were renting a farmhouse from who knows when. No air conditioning, no central heat. It was a fireplace on the bottom floor. And I hear stories from my siblings of when we were kids that when I was little, I would be so cold in my crib that I'd be crying, and he would not let her come get me. And that would not. Like, they could physically hear him yell at her to leave me. Obviously, my bigger sisters came in and intervened on that, them being human beings and all. But not long after that, I think he may have gotten some kind of promotion maybe at work. We moved about halfway through second grade to a normal house. It almost seemed like things would get better from there. There was just this 6 months to a year, I'd say, where it seemed like things would get better. They didn't, obviously. Things just continued to go downhill from there. It's always a continual now over never moment to rise above the darkness. It doesn't go away.
I guess that's something that I neglected here with the purpose of the podcast today too, is to emphasize that the now over never moment that you have found yourself in front of is not just a one-time thing. It's kind of a daily, it's a daily choice to choose now over never. And I wanted to give perspective to everybody about his now over never moments, and his choices are because of the history, and I wanted to share that. So I forgot to emphasize that the now over never moment here. I'm sorry.
How we were going to relate to the mass shootings was that I recognized that in every human, not just me, not just him, not just the infamous they that people refer to in conspiracies and stuff like this, is that it's humans. It's like Scooby-Doo. The monster is always a human being. So when people talk about the people that commit these acts, like, how could they do that? It's not just here today, next day. I feel like shooting a bunch of people. It's a progressive thing where the darkness has obviously overtaken them when they get to that point. And along that way, there were, from what I understand, on most of them, there were multiple points where it could have been intervened, where it could have been changed. I know myself because I came to one of those points, not on a mass shooting or anything on that level, but I was ready to kill my dad. This was about a 2-week span event, so I guess we'll just track through it all. I was 16 on the verge of turning 17. Honestly, at that point, it's on everybody's mind is a driver's license. And for me, that was an obvious opportunity of freedom, getting the hell out of Dodge. Well, I failed my first time. And he took it as a sign of laziness or something along those lines, I'm not sure. It got ugly, as you can anticipate. Prior to that, he had been particularly displeased about my haircut, or lack thereof, because it had been a little on the shaggy side, which was, who really gives a shit. It kind of devolved into a minor argument about him wanting me to get my haircut because, quote unquote, it would make him feel a lot better about me. I don't know if he was equating the shagginess to homosexuality or something like that. He's backwater Baptist, so he hates everything really. Which they kind of do.
I don't know enough about it.
Yeah. But anyway, it wasn't my argument where he would feel a lot better about me, and then he ended up asking, what does it do for me to have my hair that long? And I retorted with, what does it do for you to have it short? It was one of those checkmate moments where you got him.
You're waiting for it. Yeah.
But then the given parameters of who he was, it was oh shit, I got him. Oh no. After the filling of the driver's test, he decided right then and there, that was when I was getting my haircut, because my long hair probably interfered with my driving. Who knows? Safety concerns. Right. Safety concerns. I said no. I just Said no. Refused. Because he was about to pull into just any random Joe Schmo barbershop. I still said no. And obviously he couldn't do anything in front of the shop store where they can see, him physically pulling a human being out of the car to get their haircut. So we ended up going home. And I went in my room and I just, like, you can hear the train coming down the railroad track. You can just even before you like really hear, you just kind of know it's coming. Yeah. And he came in and he opened the door. And he had a pair of scissors in his hand. He had a comb. I don't know what the fuck he was going to do with the fucking comb. I mean, he's not a barber. Never was. I'm like, he said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And again, all I said was no. And that was all I said, no. Came across the room at me at full speed. I don't even know where the hell the comb went, but at that point, his shoulder was in the solar plexus. Is that what they call the rib cage right there?
I just call it the sternum.
Sure. Bottom of that, where you get punched and knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah.
Full strength. I would say he's about 220. Lifelong, never mind. Lifelong physical labor worker.
But he basically bum rush you like a football, like a lineman.
Yeah. Hike. I was on the bed and it was just every bit of that just crushing down, and the scissors were wide open, coming straight at my face, and I just popped my hand up right in the middle of it. And he just kept pushing down harder and harder and harder and harder, and I could physically feel the blades cutting into my hand. It wasn't deep enough to scar, which awesome for that. I don't want that reminder. I don't know. The whole time I could just more and more tunnel vision because it's crushing the air out of me. I don't remember how I did it, but somehow I got the scissors in my hand. Don't ask me how. Probably a general was like, fuck this guy. We got to handle this. And I had the clear thought of, I wouldn't serve a day in jail. And I even in that moment, I was like, he wouldn't do anything. But I was like, somehow have the mind to chuck the scissors across the room and tell him to get the fuck off me. Exact words. And he did. You would think that it would, kind of ended there, but no, it didn't. And I kind of assumed it wasn't going to. So I had a pocket knife from somewhere. I don't even remember. I never even bought it. Probably found it. Who knows? I put it in my pocket. Funny words. Pocket knife. Go figure. The next day, mind you, I still went to school the next day.
Jeez.
So the next day, we got home. Came at me again. Put me dead square in a crushing headlock. My sister was there. She was crying. I was numb. I could feel him. I could feel all of it. I knew everything that was going on, but I was just numb. I'm like, all right, this is how it has to go. I reached in my pocket, pulled out the knife, and I just stood there. He backed off. He looked down. He saw it. It's an odd feeling to be ready to kill someone. It's not that you want to. It's not that you're physically going let's do this. Like an action movie and shit like that.
It out.
Yeah, it's like that's the only way it's gonna stop. Weird thing is that did make it stop. Just that act alone.
Just pulling it out and him seeing.
Oh yeah, is it the kind where you could kind of loosely pull them out and then clack them? It was very satisfying
for
ones.
those, the lives we can whip them out.
obviously not a switchblade or whatever they call it, but just where you can just loosely pull the knife and snap it out.
It has a nice action
to where you can
to kind of
hear
give
it.
you a warning.
Yeah, you can hear it. So for me, that destructive, which every human on some level has that darkness in them. I don't. If you're saying you don't, you're lying to yourself. Every human has some kind of darkness. It may not be to the point of that, but it's there. Everybody's got it. It's all about rising above it.
Guys, again, apologies for the quality here. We're trying to do an outdoor stream, and I don't mean to interrupt you on your story, but I feel like I need to. I don't even know. I want to say something, but I don't know what to say, and that's why I'm mainly excited about this podcast happening, is because these perspectives, these people with these histories and this background is completely new to me. I have no 100% empathy, but I have nothing to even base off of how you are able to rise above that darkness every single day. How you are one of my closest intellectual friends that I have, and I appreciate you on a level, but it's just, I never would have guessed known this history about you because of how well you come out with morality and your manners and the way you treat and respect people. My template assumption of people that I have a history is that they just keep the history going. A majority, you saw your dad bashing your mom's head into a wall. That's how you would treat your wife, and that's the stigma I have.
Yeah.
For that. So I really don't know what to say. I want to say something, I just have nothing to say, because to me it's all just mind-boggling.
I mean, obviously you can extrapolate from there and go into almost 20 years worth of stories. But I mean, I guess I did this hoping that in some obscure way it would reach a person out there that was, I don't know, maybe on the verge of doing something like this, or had it in them to think about doing something like these recent events, these shootings. You don't have to be a product of your environment. It's the easy route. Quite honestly, easy routes are for the weak. I'm sure it was easy as hell for my dad to be the way he was. I'm sure it was easy as hell for my brother to act just like him. Because they were weak. People that are doing these events, I don't even want to call them events because the event sounds kind of happy.
Yeah, events sounds like something you want to go to.
Yeah, I should rephrase that. These acts, criminal acts, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even have to be mass shooting. They can do all kinds of things. You don't have to. It's not going to make anything better for you or them. And if you're not making things better, what are you realistically doing? We're doing what's easy.
What we've seen, or
what you've learned, what you were shown, what you see on TV, or even who knows. It's easy. I know we've debated about gun control, but it is easy just to go get a random weapon and then go use it. And for me to say that it's easy for people to do that, it's acknowledging the entire path up until that moment, because they didn't, like I said in the beginning, they did not decide to do that overnight. It wasn't I love my life. All right, well, let's do this.
It's going to jeopardize that immediately.
Yeah.
For you, it was a choice that every single day is a now over never moment. Waking up is, today I'm going to choose now to be better than that. What was it? Something you were born with? Is it something that motivated you? Is there a love of a passion that kept you going? Like, what sparked this? It sounds like you have enough history of day after day of just shit, of just stuff you could say that would blow my mind, story after story. When was the moment for you that you were was it when you got your freedom? Like, how did you even, as a young buck, how do you even find your way, when you're confused and you feel like no one else is going to understand, because who's going to understand? Like, what do you do? How do you get yourself out of that? Like, what did you find to help?
That is a very odd question. I don't really know. I guess if you wanted to go on lines of I was born that way, that just sounds like odd. Like, I don't know. Egotistical, maybe the phrase I'm thinking of for that.
It's kind of like I believe some people can be born good and be born bad. I mean, do
I
you
don't.
just
I
feel
think
like
it
you were
always comes
born
down.
to be?
It always comes down to a choice.
Okay.
It's always a choice.
Yeah.
Even the things that you don't feel like are choices are choices. Deciding to eat breakfast, not much of one. It was a fucking choice. What did you have for breakfast? There's your choice. Everything was a choice. And the great thing about a choice is you get to choose. I mean, it's a little bit redundant, but you know, however you want to look at it, you can make the choice, the easy choice, make things worse, make the hard choice, and make things better.
You mentioned that a few other people have made comments along the lines of your history and qualities like that would make them say, if I didn't know you, I would say this. What have you taken from that, or what are some ways that they've put it maybe differently that have given you a third perspective, an outside perspective to maybe what they're saying? Like, does that make sense? Because that wasn't really a good question.
I'm trying to figure out how to answer that.
I guess, how did you receive that? If multiple people have said, we noticed this history, but if we didn't know you better, we would say this. Like, how does that affect you? How do you that would still kind of be hard to say positive.
Yeah,
like, dude, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to stay like positive, and now over and ever, and you're saying like, I still because it wasn't insultive.
I know.
At all.
I know.
And so, how did that make you feel? Like, what does that make you feel going forward?
Well, I don't know. I guess I always took it introspectively, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I don't want to kill anybody. God damn. Been down that road.
And what's making people maybe think this?
I don't. Well, it's a rather specific story. I'm going to try to make it as anonymous as possible, okay? More to the effect of the people at different times. Here we go. Asked if I ever had the desire to do this, to let them know. It was never you, or it was an analytical, not a judgmental thing.
Okay.
So I guess that's why yours was a little bit different, I guess. I mean, I know it wasn't coming from like, you crazy motherfucker.
Right.
It came from, wow. Normally I would associate that with blah. For them, it was always, that was predetermined for me. So it was pretty fucking defeating.
Yeah. That would, again, guys, sorry about the setup of the one mic and stuff, but I feel like I can't share the truth with a lot of people without them getting emotions tied behind it. So when I said that to you, I felt like it was an audience that would receive it without emotions and be like, you know what, on paper, yeah, I get it. So I feel like it would be hard for me to approach a lot of people maybe watching, or my friends there, and be like, hey, I see some things. And for them not to be like, all right, this friendship's over, this dude, so I guess that's another part of this would be, how can people open up dialogue and be receptive about it without, taking it completely horribly?
I don't really have an answer for you on that one. I have had very negative reactions to even telling a little bit of what I've told today. We've been dancing on the tip of the iceberg, as they say, Yeah, it's never been easy. I guess, circling back to what I said before. Never been easy. But that's not the point. You don't take easy things long term. Like, Remember when X video game level was easy? You don't remember that level. You remember the things that were hard, the things that you earned, the things that were difficult.
The level that took 99 tries.
Oh yeah, they were spending an entire afternoon getting fucking gamer rage at it.
Like Mike Tyson's Punch Out when you
Oh,
finally
yeah.
get Mike Tyson.
Fuck you, Mike. No offense, don't sue me.
That's
It's never easy.
so for you. The now over never choice is always obviously it's a difficult one daily, but
Oh yeah, I guess I should elaborate on me a little bit.
yeah. What's
I am diagnosed with PTSD, which I guess it's kind of a catch-all phrase for a lot of different shit.
you can get as specific as you're comfortable with.
For me, it just normally comes down to anxiety and depression. So I mean, I don't have it as bad as others. I have it better than some. So I mean, everything's a margin, spectrum, whatever you want to call it.
So we got tonight. Actually, there are some big fireworks tonight. Do fireworks mess with you? Or you want like PTSD like that?
Only on my way here when that shit went off at the arena. Came out of the tunnel and I was like half zoned out thinking about this.
I need to emphasize we're not making fun of anyone that does. I'm trying to clarify the type because I have other friends with PTSD that the fireworks show that's going to happen in a few hours behind me would be.
No, if I'm aware of what's coming down the line, shit doesn't bother me. But when shit jumps out the corner at you, like jump scares, yeah, there's fear. Because that was my foundation,
So more about yourself. You're diagnosed PTSD.
It's not fully diagnosed yet. Unless if you go full diagnosis with that, it can really impact your life on paper.
Really?
Yeah, it's not pleasant. Your insurance, your life insurance, and stuff like that, they can go up just because there's a risk of suicide, and
you're a higher risk.
Yeah.
I never thought of. I never thought of it.
The therapist that I see now, after decades, she's like, I'm not writing it on paper, but yeah. There's a number of things that I'm still straightening out in my life as it is. So this is not like a spiritual guru moment of I have it all figured out. Here's my success to $5 million overnight, everybody.
Right.
It doesn't get easier. But that's not the point.
I'm trying to share some of the shots. Guys,
you're
an
getting
outdoor
the sun.
shoot. Yeah,
Oh, you're getting the sun.
is shifting here. So I'm gonna take
Okay.
I'm gonna take a 30-second break here real quick, and I'm gonna reshift studio. You guys can't see it, but I'm in the beat of the sun here. So take this moment, those that are watching. If audio is any issues with that, let me know. But I'm gonna resituate the studio. I'm sorry, guys. This is live television. My bad, dude.
Oh no, you're good.
This would be a good time for a break if you want. You still have to act to me. Thank you. Actually, that might be enough. Perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Cool. All right, guys. So we're setting up the studio here a little bit better. My apologies on that. We had a comment that says everything, and with all this talk of mental illness as the trigger, this will push a lot of people more into the shadows. I have to get that better perspective on what you meant there, Jordan. We just got the studio reset up here. My apologies. All right. That's a horrible way to intermission here. I'm sorry. Then go right back into something serious. So with you, I grew up in a lot different upbringing. So for me, when the question of what like Gerard brought up here with if it's mental illness, self-reporting, stuff like that. He's talking about self-reporting. With all this talk of mental illness as a trigger, this will push a lot more people into shadows. So, okay. To me, the debate, it comes up with gun control, and that's where we were talking, and why this whole podcast started too, is gun control and your history. Is the problem, in your opinion, and obviously, like you said, you're not the guru of all the answers, but your perspective here, do you think that we have a gun control problem? Do you think we have a mental illness problem? Do you think you said it's choices, so is this an individual? Like, just give me your take on all of these shootings. Is there a single problem, or where could we start? What do you think about that?
It's just a far more complicated issue than any one of those items. I understand the desire for more gun control. It's not the cure-all solution. It might reduce, but isn't the goal ultimately zero? And that begins at the human level.
Someone's always going to be able to make a gun.
And if they can't get a gun, they'll figure out a different way. There's no limiting the capacity for damage in a human being. There's only limiting the internal capacity, what they're capable of doing.
Something I personally believe is that anyone I know that has been raised with guns, my hunting friends, my guns that are raised with the sentence I was raised with out in the country is, if don't point a gun at anything you don't plan on killing. And there's a lot of rules that go with it, and it's more of a respect thing than a mystery and a danger. It's a gun. This is a thing that can literally kill anything you point it at, living or not. Like, whatever you shoot it at, it'll decimate it. And in my personal, undocumented, unstat supported opinion, this is just coming out of my mouth, is that I feel like most of these, and that's kind of dumb just to say it's an opinion without any stats, I feel like most of these people aren't being raised with the guns as an education. So when it comes to, God, that's even a dumb point to bring up, because when it comes to gun control, I'm going immediately at upbringing and guns still being accessible. So I guess the bigger question would be, God, yeah, this is why I want to talk with you, is because of all, and like Gerard says here, we need to do all of these solutions, but I think we at least need to attempt something. So we need to start somewhere, either looking at other countries and what they're doing, and what's working, or we need to, I don't know. See, and this is where I get clusterfucked. Clusterfucked. I want to say it, but I don't know if Facebook will ban me for being explicit, but I get clusterfucked trying to
ruined that then.
try to discuss where do we begin? How do you find solutions? How do we start? And that's why I thought the history of the person.
You have to improve mental health services to every possible capacity, because there's, in my experience, there may be other things out there, but really only the good health insurance has anything even remotely for mental health services.
A lot of them don't even give husband paternity leave.
Yeah.
Let alone mental health being a real thing.
Like, to have to clarify it as a good insurance and still have them give a shit about what your mind's like. It's part of the body, like,
Part of the health.
You can't just ignore that part.
With all of the darkness that you've chosen to overcome consistently, and just on an egregious level of what you had to overcome, the darkness, what did it all come from your father, or was this just, if you're not comfortable getting into that, that's fine, but is this all stemming from one person that you were able to get over? Is there an environment that you found yourself in where it was almost like you had, because I would want to kill someone like that too, to be honest. Someone putting me through a torturous, not happy childhood would make me want to kill them as well. So that's one person. When it comes to a lot of these issues, they're taking down complete strangers. They're harvesting energies I can't even fathom. So was there, with you, is it a choice of choosing now as an environment, or is it just kind of just people that harvest that? Like, do you have any kind of understanding of why some of these people might just,
well, I mean,
like, spatter?
Everybody's story is going to be different, so I don't know what path led them to that, but I just know that it was a path.
How can we help?
You have to intervene earlier. Like, let's go with the most recent one that we were talking about. Dayton.
Dayton.
Didn't you say there was a rape list?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the Dayton shooting, when that happened, when that went down, I was getting hit up from all walks of life of people in Dayton. And a friend of mine from Bellbrook was like, before it hit the news, he went, "Hey man, we all know who this kid is. He had a rape kill list. My cousin was contacted by the school, her and her mom, and said, hey, we found a bathroom stall with your name etched on the rape list. Make sure your daughter's a little extra careful." And it's like, okay, so then why was this kid allowed to buy a fucking gun? If he had a rape and kill list in high school, was he not? I don't think he was ever charged with anything because he was a minor, maybe. I don't know the details on that specifically. But to get the call and say, hey, man, we know exactly who this kid was. We all expected this to happen years ago. And then it's like, fuck, why was he even allowed to buy a gun on the internet? I think it might have been, it doesn't matter what state, I think it was from Texas. But he bought one on the internet. It was shipped to his fucking house. There were signs, and this was a history with signs that could have been stopped and prevented with that. I just took the reins on that, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
But that was my most recent firsthand experience, was getting the phone call saying that, yeah, man, this guy has a history. So again, that's why, I kind of looked at you and said, hey, man, you've got a history. Like, what? I know you would never go forward, but how do you're saying mental health is the thing we need to approach first?
Yeah.
And with more resources and obviously funding.
For sure. I mean, you can't take away the weapon. You can take away what kind of weapon, but you can't take away. You have to take away what's in their brain. You have to approach that. Because if some random Joe Schmo has, I don't know, an artillery gun and sitting in his backyard for whatever fucking reason.
I see cannons in front of the VW.
Yeah, like, and if they never shoot a round, was it a weapon? No, it was a fucking lawn ornament. Like, nobody wants to shoot it. Like, I don't know. You can't take away the weapon. You can only take away the mindset. Sure, gun control. Absolutely.
Say again?
Said, sure, gun control. Absolutely.
Right.
But to what level? Because they haven't really stopped. I can't tell that story.
Yeah.
I was present for a conversation with you and another person. We were talking about Jimmy Carter. And the other person was very unhappy with what said president did to a specific type of weapon attachment. But you were commenting on his more notable achievements. And that's Carter. Like, they don't stop controlling guns. Yeah, they can do more, but they've never really stopped. I don't know. Like, nobody can own a minigun. Like, you have to have special everything for that. You can't take away the weapon. You can just take away the mindset. That's where I stand on it.
So I know with combating mental health, obviously, I'm gonna get a little closer to you, bud. Sorry.
Okay.
We can both kind of tuck under the table here.
Sure.
It's hard to do it, guys. I've been in the industry for a while. It's hard to do an anonymous episode of anything. So stick with us. I appreciate it. Gerard says, but if you can reduce the carnage the weapon is able to inflict, that also might have.
It's a zero-sum game. We're not looking for reduced numbers. We're looking for a zero-sum game, aren't we?
Right.
Okay, so what if these loners start banding together and they all get a bunch of swords? That's still a shit ton of karma. I mean, like,
a bunch of bayonets still make damage.
Yeah, like, you can reduce the number. You can reduce the number a number of ways. But we're trying to go for zero, aren't we?
Okay.
If nobody has the desire to do it, nobody does it. That's the mindset.
So if we gotta attack mental illness, is it okay if I bring up that you're in therapy? Oh, I guess I just did. So, you see a therapist. Oh, you're anonymous. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
You see a therapist.
Correct.
Zero sum is the ideal. Human beings will never get to ideal. That's a great point. You guys are both on the same side, it sounds like, with just differing opinions on the gun part of it. But let me get back to my last thought. You're seeing a therapist. So
Correct.
Mental illness, we need to combat that with something. We need more resources, more money, more things put towards mental illness. Do you suggest therapy be the way? Obviously, it's a start.
You're
Something.
going to need multiple routes. You're going to need a better appreciation and funding for that system.
What have been your experiences right now with the mental health industry? With getting
Take this pill and go away.
Really?
Come back if you have a problem with the pill, but by the time you have a problem with the pill, isn't that just a little bit too late? To be clear, I have not had or taken any prescriptions thus far, but that's just always the backhand route. Like, well, we could also do this. We could go to this, but we could probably do this with the pills. And from what I understand, the statistics are pretty high for these people taking those things. So I don't see that is actually helping at all. Maybe for the one-off person, or 10 off, or 100 off, or 1,000 off, but that's not the only solution. Sure, pills help some people, but obviously it's not helping all.
So do you feel like you're actually never being heard or understood? They're just kind of waiting for you to fit a template?
They do, but it's, I don't know.
It sounds like they're just pushing pills. But
for the most part, and there's also the realization that they are at work right now. So I'm not sure, from a personal level, that short term is the name of the game anyway, which is not going to be realistically, but I don't know. There's a lot of red tape in the mental health industry. And obviously that's not encouraging news, but it's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is that guns are dangerous. The reality of the situation is a lot of people could have intervened on a number of different people, a number of different places, but they didn't. We do need to do all of them, but not just one of them is going to be the... I don't know, I think it's just too much focus on gun control.
I think one of the problems with people stepping up, or like all those things that were ignored, the signs, the symptoms, whatever you want to call them, the things that were ignored that could have been approached, I think that also lies the problem. Like with me approaching you, you're one of few people I would have approached that like that and been like, hey, I see the history, like, can we talk about it? Are you okay? Do you need someone to talk to? Like all that stuff. But it was like, how do you just say that to someone that's just like, someone that's just kind of a friend, but not someone that might be able to grasp that kind of conversation? That's, I think, one of the hardest parts too, is trying to not be seen as an asshole, because what if you're wrong? You don't want to be wrong. And if you're wrong that this person isn't going to become the next mass shooter, you might have just destroyed their whole life. If you're just like, hey man, or even if they take the anonymous route and they don't talk to you and they report you and they're like, hey, this guy's making some funky, weird post on Facebook. Not everyone wants that liability,
Granted. Yeah. But I think, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to like collectively think of.
I'm just trying to think of, like, from where I was, was there a point where anybody could have said anything differently to me?
And what would have, what would
I don't know.
have changed?
I really don't know. And I guess it didn't really change anything because I didn't really do anything, but
it still comes down to it's your personal choice. So the now over never, you got to choose every single fucking time that this is like a sobriety for people. Like this is literally every single time I'm going to choose to do this way. So
rise above the darkness.
Gotta be very fucking lonely. Like how do you keep pushing and not stay?
I guess it's personal determination. I don't know.
I guess it's hard to say. Is how would someone who sees this like me? How would someone help, but like help facilitate or be there to support? Like I guess what I'm getting at is, how do we support those going through this struggle? Because part of it is an individual needs to choose every single fucking time, but you also don't want to be like, I don't know. You want to be supportive, but you don't want to be an asshole. You don't want to be treating them like they're incapable of making their own fucking decisions, but you want them to know you're there. I
would say more people doing the type of stuff that you're doing, to be honest. Like your free favor Fridays and all that. Like even when I've been with you out and about, you're just, I don't know, always pushing good. Oh, that's just an observation.
So
the rising tide raises all ships, right? So if
second.
The rising tide raises all ships, so if everybody can collectively be more available without being specific, I guess. Like, if you need help in this specific way, contact me. Because then that's like, it feels baited, you know?
Right.
Or it's just,
Or it has like a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Like they have this thought about you.
I don't know, I guess be more vague in your parameters of reasons to contact you.
Okay.
That would be a good place to start, I guess.
I guess, and maybe not make assumptions, make it more broad so it's not as a specific assumption of what's happening.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that kind of goes along with something we both, and why we're such good friends, I believe, is something that people just need to be more present. You know, put the fucking phones down, which I did
Sure.
earlier, but I was asking someone if audio was, my person that checks if audio was fine. Sorry. I have a secret watcher out there. I ask him if audio is working. But I digress. It's, I think people being more present and just saying, yeah, you know, if you ever need to talk about anything in general, okay, then I'm there. So people just being better fucking people.
Yeah, kind of.
More
It's
available.
Another fork of the solution.
Being more available, better quality friends and family, I guess would be.
Which sounds like a very cliche answer, but if everybody can agree that it's not happening, then why isn't it happening? I don't know. Every time I see in your comments and stuff like that, like how happy they are, they're proud of you, whatever, so on and so forth of what you're doing, I'm like, okay, but I mean, I don't know.
Was it almost like, why am I not getting that also, or what?
No.
Or like,
Why can't more people do that to where that's a normal thing?
I got you. I misunderstood you.
Not everybody knows that one person they can go talk to, even though I'm doing this live recording to talk about these things. Apparently, it was making things worse, I believe. My bad on that. I was.
What? Oh, the
Didn't you say-
outdoors?
No, the
Oh, the live. No, it's not making it worse. No, it's just more obstacles, and it challenges me at what I'm good at. So it's not your average thing, which I like. It puts me in a different realm of comfort, you know. I'm more against the sun than anything.
yeah.
So,
I
sorry.
mean, it also does come to them wanting to contact those people, which is entirely another hill to tackle by itself. I get that. And I guess that's why I was telling us this story, because way back along the lines, I made the choice to get it out of there. So if Reach is the right person, they don't think it's such a huge mountain to climb after all.
I don't want to take away from it because I feel like it is a daily mountain. You know, it is a daily choice. It's you know, a monumental decision. But I guess the whole point, and I appreciate your transparency and everything with it, I guess, is how do we rise above all of this together? Like, how do we help each other when we see someone that needs risen? When we need someone that needs help getting, like, maybe in darkness, and we want to help them rise above it. And if we want to take it specifically into the mass shootings things, that's fine. But just in general, how do we rise above the darkness when we see it in someone, or how do you approach someone that you might see a little bit of darkness kind of hindering them?
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's always going to come down to choice. It has to be theirs. It's the reality of the situation, but just knowing that there are people out there that would be capable of listening, it's a good start. It's not the solution by itself. Just like gun control isn't the solution by itself, just like increased mental health responsibilities, whatever. That's not going to be the solution by itself. It's going to be all of them, but it is a place to start. The increased availability of humans. Not just people waiting their turn to talk, not just people distracted on the cell phone, not just people who you instinctively know are going to go spread a story about what you told them to however they see fit. We all know those people, and we just all have to decide to not be those people also. I see the problem as the people who are doing these acts, and the solution to the people who are abandoning humans left and right. And I understand, it's a busy world. But no one got to that path overnight. There had to be people along the way who could have nudged. It doesn't have to be a big change for them. It can be a small change, just knowing that I don't know.
Just knowing that there's someone there, or just
Yeah.
making themselves available for them. It's hard to, as a person who believes everything's a variable based situation, it's hard to come up with a solution. But like I think has been a kind of a key that's reflected here is that we got to try all of them or try something. It's not just one easy.
The thing is, we have to
route.
try all of them at once. You can't just go, okay, well, we'll get here and there. And I know that's not the reality of the situation, obviously.
Yeah.
Bureaucracy is what it is, and you can only slowly attack one thing at a time. We're still dealing with racism, and I get that. Mental health has its place in line, and it's pretty far back. But things don't get better until you do all of them.
Let's say you're in office. You've got the chance to make tomorrow whatever changes happen to hopefully stop the next mass shooting or the next. That's a hard way to say that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a big hill to climb.
Let's
There's a lot of variables.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So let's lower that question a little bit. If you had a platform tomorrow to implement changes, all of these changes we're talking about, and I know you're not a career politician or anything like that. How do you begin? Well, we got some breeze coming through, knocking some things over. Just
Nice.
Electronics and liquid don't mix.
Where were we?
How would you, if you get a platform tomorrow, you have office or whatever tomorrow, you have an opportunity. How do you start? Let's say you're in charge there and you got to implement all these things. And obviously bureaucracy gets in the way, but so we need mental health solutions. We need more resources, more funding, more people available. We need probably better diagnosis of PTSD and maybe some of the other things. What all do you think we need to kind of put under that umbrella of what the solutions are? What is this umbrella of solutions that we can offer? There's more mental health resources. It's a lot. I mean,
I know. I don't have a magical answer for you on that.
What do you suggest we could try? Because we can't just say we need to make more therapists available, more mental health clinics available. We need to do this because there's still people that won't go. So
yeah,
and that's fine. You don't have the answers. I'm just shooting the shit with you on how we can figure out where to go. How do we help? How do we rise? And it all comes down to being a fundamentally good human being,
which is a choice.
Which is choice every day. Well, if I needed to put together a checklist of someone for someone that says, "Hey, I got free time. I need to figure out how I can go help these people. What can I do?" I look at them and I go, I don't know what you could go out and do a nice gesture. Go out and make yourself available. But it's and I think that's why so many people feel lost is because I think it just seems like you're just doing a couple good things that get nowhere, when really it's all of those little good things are what makes the bigger solution. But we also need tangible things. We need more mental health facilities. Sorry, I know I just encapsulated a lot.
You're good.
This topic just gets me going, and I just keep with it. So, and I think every time I have these conversations with people, this is the same thing that happens. We get so passionate and we want to end it, but then we get handcuffed by
the cliffhanger of indecision.
What actions can we do? What is worth the best of our time? We can only fight so many hours a day for certain things. We only have so many causes that we can believe in and actually fight for. So how do I, and I think everyone wants to utilize their most valuable resource, time, the best they can. So it's all right, I got time to help with this. What do I do? Fuck.
I mean, they have to look into it and find organized people who are doing these things already, more or less. Okay. I'm sure anybody who's worked at a social services officer, any kind of office like that would very well admit that they are shorthanded. I don't know. There just needs to be better availability, and I don't know how to get to that road. I know taking away guns isn't going to change that. I didn't know who to go talk to. I guess that was also a problem. People need to make it more. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, for me, when growing up, if I had a problem, I'd go talk to my dad.
Yeah.
Being honest with you, like, yeah, I'm not gonna go talk to the dude.
I couldn't.
your case.
Obviously, I couldn't approach that guy. So I mean,
Right. I'd go talk to my mom or my dad, and
so if you don't know who to go talk to, and there's nobody like announcing themselves as the person to talk to, like, I don't know what to tell you on that one. I guess maybe there needs to be more people announcing themselves as those people.
more positive warriors.
Yeah.
More sunshine.
Very cliche answer for you, but it's about the best I got.
No, it's fine. And I'm not even necessarily seeking answers. Just so many of these discussions after these shootings and after everything lead to what do we do? We need action. We need answers, and it's all end up with the same thing. It's all this couple hours of discussion that end up nowhere. And it's not that it ends up nowhere. Sorry, that was the wrong way to say that. These discussions end up with you just said it best a little bit ago.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, the cliffhanger. You're just in action. You know, if I need gas, I know what my steps are to go get gas. I go to the gas station. We need to help this. What are the steps I can take? There is no clear-cut answer. There's no clear-cut steps, but some legislation, something needs to happen here. Whether it be multiple things at once or a single one.
I would lean towards more increased side of the mental health services. If you can get to the problem before it's a problem, all the better. Obviously, you're like everybody has said thus far, you're not going to get to a zero-sum game. I think that'll have a much larger impact than any of the other steps, even though, yes, they all need to happen. We really need to evaluate this whole prescription drug system because it's just...
That's a whole nother...
Yeah, that's an entirely different discussion by itself. But
that's a podcast of its own. Like, yeah. Every single episode's a different prescription drug thing. Sorry, I'm getting stuck on this drug. So
I guess not necessarily tackle that, but tackle its immediate association with mental health.
Like, the prescriptions.
I'm not trying to say that it's easy to get one, but it's not difficult, and I don't want it.
I guess being from Dayton, Ohio, too, with the #1 opioid. Man, Dayton is just coming on the map with the #1 opioid deaths and everything.
Obviously, that's not a fucking solution by itself. Same with all the rest of them. Does it work? Certainly on a percentage.
All right, so you have all these moments of shit through your history.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would have changed at any point had you had access to a high magazine rifle, or totally different? I'm not trying to compare it to any of these situations.
Right.
Do you think anything would have changed if you had different access to different weapons?
I did have access to weapons, and I still opted to not go that route. I guess that's a little more evidence to my point of, I don't know. It was an option, but it's not an option for me. It came down to choice, I guess. Again.
I guess it comes down to it. It wouldn't have mattered. You would have sharpened a fucking rock if you needed to.
Yeah.
You know, if you need a weapon, you'll make a weapon and find it. But we need to approach the people behind it. And I apologize. I'm my grandmother's caretaker, so I have a baby monitor. So that's what you just heard there.
I don't know. I just wanted to get out that It's not easy for everybody, but everybody gets a choice to rise above darkness. I don't accept that I'm born differently. Like you said, like, is this something you were born with? I don't know.
Yeah, I could never take that as a valid. We're gonna take a small standby. My baby monitor is going off. I want to check it real quick.
Okay.
All right, guys. My apologies. As many of you might know, I had my own now over never moment. I became my grandmother's caretaker, and we just had the baby monitor. Want to make sure she's fine. She's fine. That's why you got to do these things when you're thinking now, regardless of all the special stuff. 'Cause
I lost track of where we were.
yeah, my apologies there. I think we were talking about how it was just a personal choice every day. Not that having access to weapons. Yeah, I had access to all the weapons. I still didn't do it. It was a personal choice.
I don't know. I just never had the desire to. Maybe, I guess maybe that's what the difference is. I don't know. I didn't have access to what the hell they had access to, but I had access to something.
I'm not sure where I'm gonna take this.
Me either.
Let me, hey guys, give me just a moment here. Let me rearrange what we're doing. Give me just a moment. Keep going.
We've kind of fucked up.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about your history and stuff.
Huh?
Because we're going to talk about your history and stuff.
Well, from what he said, we're not doing a good thing right now.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about what he's saying. Right. So we were getting into choosing now over never. That's the point of the podcast. The path here, we got a little derailed. The way a lot of these conversations go with gun control and the shootings and the mentalities behind mental illness. And I think that's a prime example of what's happening here is what happens in all the conversations. We start off with a means of doing, with a goal of finding a solution. And then we find out that there's so much involved in this entire conversation. And then so many tangents get brought in. And that's why it's so hard to find. There's so much involved to this. This isn't a simple fucking thing. And we bring in history of people and the choice to choose being a positive and good person. But having all of these different problems, I think it comes down to what you hit the nail on the head was. It comes down to choosing to be a good human.
Yeah. As cheesy as it is to say, it's huge.
Absolutely.
Because if there are those people out there, and somewhere along the lines, there wasn't someone who they trusted to be open with. And that's not all on them. As much as we would like to say that, yeah, depression, isolation, everything like that would have an effect, they probably also didn't know someone. So if there's a shortage of that. I think we could all step up a little bit on that.
Guys, I appreciate you all joining us today with the transparency of everything. We're going to take a little intermission here. It's been an hour getting into this. The heat's getting a little hot, and I want to make sure that we're keeping the equipment from overheating here. So
we're going to move back into the shade.
We're gonna come back here, but I appreciate you guys joining us. We are going to pause this up, and we're going to take a little intermission, and we will be back.